What's up? What's up? This is Richard with a Kingdomhood conversation. Hey, I'm doing a quick pop up, man. I'm not gonna take a lot of you guys' time, but just wanted to drop in on a Friday and say hello, talk about a few things. I hope everybody's being safe. Things are opening back up, and of course, we know with things opening back up, these COVID cases are probably going to go up. Some people believe in COVID-19, and some people believe it's some type of conspiracy or something like that. But whatever you choose to go with, just be safe out there. Seems like things are calming down from all the protest. Of course, in past weeks we've had a lot of looting and rioting, and that seemed to be calmed down. And from what I've seen, everything's being a lot more peaceful on this end. And they're still doing a lot of stuff in Seattle, though. That's my home state where I was born. They're going crazy up there. I'm gonna tell you, that is something that I never thought I would see. Um, Seattle being so, reckless and just going about really trying to, make a statement, but that's what rioting is, and protesting. It's your marketing piece. It's bringing attention to issues. We've been doing this for a long time. I say all the time, that there's been 85 riots since 1955. And people were upset. They want to bring attention to an issue, and they want, the government, they want society. And a lot of times when it was us as black people, we wanted white people to hear our voices and say, this is what we're dealing with. And, there was a gap. I mean, there was a time when Martin Luther King was out there protesting, and there was white people out there, you had Jews out there protesting with him. And then after that, we kind of went into a law where you saw just, the majority of the black people, protesting for certain issues. But now we're back. It's in this particular issue with George Floyd, you're seeing a lot of white people out there holding up BLM signs and Black Power fist. So, it's putting policing agencies on notice, and it's telling the government that, we want change. And that's a beautiful thing, to see that everybody, us as white, us as black, Latino, Asian, especially in every other race, is out there saying enough of seeing black men killed in the street. And I think this is a really momentous moment that, if done right and if focused on, it can make some great change. But, there's a concern there. The great Gore Vidal said, we live in the United States of amnesia. We learn nothing because we remember nothing. I mean, there's a long history of barbaric and inhuman things that America has done to people of color, and nothing has changed. Even when the laws were changed, you can't regulate or control people's hearts and minds and their ambitions. So even when laws were passed to protect black people, the racist white people, I want to make sure I'm clear, it's not all white people, but racist white people ignored them and got around them, and kept on doing what, racial policies and racial violence and things like that. So, not to be just on a negative spin, but this is just the reality of things and what we've experienced in this country. So, the main purpose of all this writing, I hope, was, and there's a lot of other stuff going on with, George Soros, hiring Black Lives Matters people to disrupt America, or, cause anarchy. And then you got Antifa on the left, which is extreme leftist group that's out there causing anarchy. And then you got Boogaloo on the right that is causing a lot of extreme anarchy and, rioting and everything by using the pain of people of color, of a black man getting murdered, and using to push their own agenda. I don't know how much of that is true. There's a lot of speculation. I got somebody that I know, intelligence, that works for the government, that actually confirmed that these militia groups are out there causing anarchy in the riot. So, I believe it. But, in a riot, you have different people. You have people who are protesting peacefully, just to get their point across and bring market and attention to whatever the issue it is. And then you got the looters that just want to steal some shit. We've seen that in 92. We've seen it in 65. And then you got the rioters just want to tear up shit. So it's three types of people, and we got to make sure we don't lump them all in one category and take focus away from what this thing is really about, and that's being about police reform. So the House, a Democrat controlled House, produced a bill, and I'm seeing like on the internet, and I put this on my Facebook page, how black folks are focusing on what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were wearing the kente cloth. Now, you've seen it; it's just trending all over Facebook. Oh, I've heard everything from, this is disrespectful. I'm offended. Giving the smug face. This is bullshit. They're just doing this because an election's coming up, and all kind of other things. Of really, discontent about, them wearing the kente cloth, it being, clothes from that symbolize Africa and, our, in African land, which is precious to us. And I guess it was like a slap in the face to black people for, them to wear this, I believe. Or just a dog show, whatever it is, people feel. And there's some truth to that. I mean, because it is a little overkill. But this is my position on this: is during the protest, there were white people out there with Black Lives Matter signs holding up Black Power fist. I didn't hear a complaint from no black person. Nobody complained about that. They're out there saying, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. These are white people, fighting for us. And nobody said, I'm offended that they're holding up, Black Power fist, which, we know what that is, right? So I don't understand why we're focusing so much on them, on the House Democrats wearing a kente cloth. Now, why were they wearing it? Well, one is it wasn't their idea. It had to come from Karen Bass or Kamala Harris. It had to come from the black echelon in the House. It wasn't their idea. I mean, if you think it was their idea, I got an oceanfront property I can sell you in Arizona. I mean, I hope you're not that gullible. Now, I totally get why the black Republicans would criticize, because that's what they do. That's their job, is to criticize anything on the left, and that Democrats do, because they're characters. You know what I mean? I mean, if you really look at the Republican Party, blacks don't have any power in the Republican Party. If you just want to look at power, I mean, you got two blacks. You got Tim Scott and you got Dr. Carson. That's pretty much it. You got everything else. Everybody else is characters. You got all these, like the Candace Owens and the Larry Elders and the Terrence K. Williams and the Diamond and Silks. They're all characters. Their majority audience is white, and they want to convince white people and make them feel comfortable in their whiteness. But they don't represent us. They don't speak for us at all. So, they're going to say the things like, well, George Floyd was a criminal. Freddie Gray was a criminal. Tamir Rice was a criminal. Orlando Castillo was a criminal. They were resisting arrest, because they want to make white people feel comfortable. They want to walk in. They want to kiss Donald Trump's ring. And that's fine. They want to fight over a party that the white people own. That's fine, too. That makes them, feel good, because they're making money. Let's make no mistake. Larry Elders and Candace Owens and all these guys had this huge following on Facebook. They're making a lucrative living by cowing to white audience, by putting down black people. So I get why they're criticizing it. But everybody else, I don't quite understand why we're focusing on, optics. Why we focus on a cloth when the Democrats have produced a police reform bill. Why are we not saying, I read the bill and it's good or it's horrible? Whatever you think is fine. I mean, but damn, you've read it and you've, from an intellectual place, from a place of knowledge, you've critiqued it, criticized it. It doesn't go far enough. It goes too far. It won't work, something. But what do black folks do? We focus on a damn kente cloth. most people, most black people don't give a damn about no kente cloth. A lot of you guys don't even wear them damn things. I don't really particularly care about it. I mean, I respect, my people who do wear them, and I think it's great. I got shirts that have like, African, colors on it and things like that. But if I saw a white guy wearing it, I wouldn't be mad at him. I mean, who cares? I mean, Negroes spend all their money on white fashion brands. You spend we'll spend our last dime, on Gucci. And black people don't own Gucci. We'll go to Nordstrom's and spend all our money. We'll go to all these fancy places on Rodeo Drive and buy all this jewelry, and black people don't own none of that. So it's quite hypocritical for us to get mad about somebody who it wasn't their idea to do, and they got the idea from African Americans, decided to go along with it and support us. On top of that is they took a knee and prayed. Now, I'm not here to tell you they doing it because they love black people. I don't know these people's hearts. But if you look at the history of politicians move for political reasons. That's what they do. Everything they do is for politics. I guess there's some heart and care in there. I'm not going to say all politicians because I don't know all politicians. I don't want to lump all politicians into one group. I think that's quite irresponsible. But you would look at most politicians, and they do things for political reasons. People say, well, they just did this because election coming up. Who gives a damn? So what? Who cares why they're doing it? The point is that they gave us a police reform bill. And what we should be saying is, hey, where is the Republican bill? So African Americans can get behind this bill, look at both bills and say, and see which one's the best. And then we rally behind that. Isn't that what we've been fighting for? So if you look at the history of police, and we'll go very briefly on this. So policing as we know it started in 1704. And police had three main functions. Obviously, one was because they were called the slave patrol. Okay. So obviously, if you're slave patrol, obviously you're to apprehend, runaway slaves. That's obvious. And the other was to impose the law, because we had no rights, of course. We were just product. We weren't people or humans or anything like that. Impose the law that were imposed on slaves and in civil society when they were at home or not working. But the third one, and the one that's most crucial, the reason why police were created, is to strike terror and absolute fear, by example, on Africans. I think they still were Africans at that time, right? They weren't exactly African Americans yet. But the third one is key. They were there to strike fear and absolute terror and control slaves. That's why the police were created. You're talking 1704. That's 316 years of black folks being subject to an occupying paramilitary police force. 316 years. And we've never had any type of federal laws towards this military style policing. Never. So you look at all through slavery, from 1704, since police were first created, to 1865, when we were, emancipated. They were there to control slaves and make sure slaves are, in line and make sure there's no uprising. And, because there were 250 slave revolts throughout the era of slavery. So we weren't, sitting around singing "We Shall Overcome." We were fighting back all the time. And that's one thing that's never talked about, what bothers me. You see movies like Roots and 12 Years of Slaves and all this stuff, but you never see a movie about slave revolts. You never, you won't find a whole lot about that. That's because they don't want you to know how much terror or how much fear that them slaves put in them white folks' mind and heart. They were scared of us, and they still are. So anyway, after 1865, then we go through, of course, we get Reconstruction, for 10 years. And then, of course, that ends. And then we go through this period of Jim Crow. Now, you know that Jim Crow is a law. right? Jim Crow was a law. Well, who enforces the law? Police. And we do know a lot of those, the KKK, who were hanging and killing black folks without absolute impunity. A lot of them were judges and police officers and politicians and just normal citizens. So you're talking 300 years of slavery. And then you're talking, well, from 1740 to 1865. That's like 161 years. And then you got another 100 years of Jim Crow, of military-style policing, enforcing these laws. And then after that, you're given a mass incarceration, which allows police to, plant, set us up. I seen, set black people, innocent black people up, get the flashlight special, and we're aware of all the police killings, and nothing seemed to happen to them. 99% of police murders are not even investigated. It's because police had broad powers. So you can imagine how many people police have killed between 1704 and now, 316 years. And you know what? We only can guess. It could be 1 million for all we know. It could be 500,000. Nobody really knows because there's no data. But we know they were killing us. We just don't know. So now we get to a point where we see, Freddie Gray get choked out and Orlando Castillo get just shot 7 times in front of his wife and kid in the car, and he was a illegal gun holder. And then you saw the latest in Great Floyd. And there's a Sandra Bland, a cop, just beat her, just got on top of this woman, just beat the hell out of her. Okay, so you guys know about all that already, right? So we get to a point where there's a bill passed that can protect us after all this murder and mayhem and terrorism that has been put on black people in the last 316 years. And Negroes want to focus on the cloth. I haven't saw any reports on Facebook where somebody read the bill and criticized the bill. I haven't even heard black Republicans criticize the bill. I haven't heard them criticize it because they really can't. They really got to stay in a lane because Donald Trump and the Republican Party has not produced nothing. All they've done is met with some black people who they say are leaders, but they ain't leading us. And nothing has been produced, which I strongly believe that the Republicans won't produce a police reform bill. And if I'm wrong, I'll apologize later. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. They ain't gonna do nothing because listen to Donald Trump talk on the newscast the other day, and he's saying he was out in Texas, and that's a whole nother thing because there's 3 black law enforcement brass that he didn't invite to the meeting. And they're like, well, why didn't you invite us if you're talking about police reform and improving communication and relationship between police and the black community? So he gets up there I'm sure you guys seen it. He gets up there and he reads from a paper. He's reading saying, well, you can't blame racism. You don't want to falsely accuse racism on a bunch of people. There's a few bad apples. Okay. Well, he's been talking to black Republicans. See, this is what black Republicans do for us. Nothing. They cow down and walk into the White House and kiss the ring because they're so happy to be in the White House. And this is what Donald Trump says. He didn't say anything about police reform. He doesn't say anything about bringing a bill to the American people, to black America, what we're screaming for, and white American, Asian American. Everybody's screaming for police reform. The Republican Party and Donald Trump have not said nothing. Now, I've had discussions with some of my dear Republican brothers and sisters, and they sending me pictures of Donald Trump talking to somebody. Okay, as of right now, that is a dog and pony show. It is a photo op because at the end of the day, where are the results? Up to this point, there are no results. If some come later, let's look at them. But until now, the Republican Party have done nothing. See, this is where you guys got to really look. You can look at partisanship all you want. You can look at blame Democrats for being racist, past, and call Democrats what you want. The Republicans are just as bad. And me, as a person in the center, I have my issues with both parties. So, I can't be backed into that proverbial corner because I don't see why we sit up here and argue over something you have no control over anyway. I think that's just funny. And I'm talking to myself because I've done it too, but I've wised out of that. So right now I'm looking at this as we need police reform, and which party is going to step up to reach out to Black America and say, hey, I got your back, and here's how I'm going to do it. So far, it's the Democratic Party that's the only thing that's done things so far. If something else comes up, then hey, let's look at that. But this is something that Black America should take note to. In the time of your dearest need, the Republican Party has produced nothing but screenshots of Donald Trump talking to a bunch of Negroes that don't represent us. Black Republicans are not leaders. They do not lead us, period. Now, what they do is they lead a conversation back to their major white audience to make them feel more comfortable in their whiteness. Now, that's a certain type of leader. Now, if you're a leader because you have 1 million followers on Facebook, or you have a huge YouTube following, if that makes you a leader, then you need to rethink leadership. Because when I think leader, I think of a Medgar Evers. I think of a King, or even a Malcolm X, or even a Marcus Garvey, or a Frederick Douglass, or a Fannie Lou Hamer, a Harriet Tubman, a Tassante Overture. I think of those as leaders. A James Weldon Johnson. I don't look at Diamond and Silk, or Candace Owens, or Larry Elders, or any of these other Black Republicans as leaders, because what have they done to help anybody? What are they solving for? What movement are they a part of that's helped move a nation or a people? Nothing. So they're not leaders. So let's just get that clear. We need to really redefine what leadership is. So with that being said, and me going on about that, was the purpose that 316 years of military style policing on the Black community. 2, we are at a point now where the Black vote is actually vulnerable. The Republicans have a chance to get some Black vote by saying, hey, we're going to come forward, we're going to get this police reform. But they don't. We need police reform. The Democrats have come with a bill. So what I decided to do was to go through a little bit of the bill and read out to you, and you give you guys something to think about. But this is something you guys need to do on your own. The hell with what they're wearing. I thought we wanted police reform. That's what I thought all this protesting and rioting and screaming and crying and all this stuff was for. I thought it was for getting police reform and stop the police officers from killing us. That's what I thought this was for. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I didn't think, we would fight for all this all these years, and then only thing Black people got to talk about is some damn cloth or some clothes. And that's what that means to me. Some of it's precious to you guys, no disrespect. But my life is more precious than your cloth. When I get put over by a cop, I don't give a damn about a Kent because I'm Black, or not getting beat up, harassed, or something like that. I'm thinking about living. You know what I'm saying? So, a cloth, that's, hey, it pales in comparison to what we should be focused on. Read the damn bill. That's what you do. Read the bill, man. Don't sit up here and talk about this bullshit about some goddamn cloth. So here you go. So I got the bill out. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about it. And I printed it out, so I'm going to read through a little bit of it and get you guys' thoughts on it and everything, what you guys may think. Because I think that this is what the most important is. Oh, Rita, I'm ready. See, we need to invest in us, accumulate land. That's the only way to gain power. Yeah, I mean, that's correct. I'm just going to read a couple of, before I go into the bill, I'm going to go ahead and read a couple of comments. That's correct. I mean, it's all about what you own and control, right? So if white people own 85% of America's wealth, and the top 10 richest families in America are all white, and what we decide, what we watch on TV, decided by white people. Pretty much what you see on most social media is decided by white people. The government is ran by white people. The police agencies are controlled by white people. Wall Street is controlled by white people. The only way you're really going to have get equality in this country is black people able to build wealth. Now, there's no way ever in hell that I believe, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize later, but it ain't going to happen in my lifetime, that black people own 50% of America's wealth and white people own 50% of America's wealth. I just don't think they'll never allow it to happen. Because the one thing that the white power structure is scared of, if black people become too powerful, we may redo to them what they did to us. So at the end of the day, you got to build your own. And that makes sense. I mean, we put 1.8 trillion into this economy. And, and we're pretty much consumers. So we can take that 1.8 trillion and build our own economy. I think it's somewhere around the 7th or 8th largest economy in the world that African Americans would be if they took all their money and made their own country. Something to consider. We one more con point. Always on point, brother. That's Corey Brown. Appreciate you, my man. Go over a couple of more before I get into the bill. Let's see here. Oh, I got you, man. Look up. Okay, I need to look up. I was looking down at that's my boy Ron. I was looking down at the bill. Anyway, so yeah, so that's pretty much, where I want to go is that, we are at a point now where we're in a moment. So a riot is a moment. Okay, let's be clear. It's not a movement. Because see, we've had 85 riots in 1955 and black folks still getting killed. So that's not the solution itself. Okay, it is going to bring attention and it's going to get everybody, it's going to give it top of mind status or issue, but this is going to fade fast. I'm going to tell you something. I was listening to Freddie Gray's mother. She said something very interesting. She said that everybody was with her during the riots, or I'm sorry, not during the riots, but when the topic was hot, everybody was with her. And she said that when Freddie Gray faded from America's forefront, from the news, she was on her own. Now, of course, this George Floyd may be a little different, okay, and I hope it is, but we don't know. I mean, it's a chance that it could fade, and it's going to be up to us if it fades. If it fades, it's our fault. Now we're talking about a white wealth power system, right? So white people, it needs to be burnt to this system needs to be burnt to the ground. It's the only way. So since white people created it, they have to light the fire. And then black and brown people and Asian people, they want to join in, come behind them and fan the flame. So we have a time where we can force them to light the fire because we don't control and own anything. Like I say, well, why you burn down our neighborhoods? We don't own it. We don't own Target. We don't own Walmart. We don't own none of that stuff. So we ain't burning down nothing that's ours. We burn down something that's yours. Okay? So let's make that be clear. Now, I'm not a fan of burning anything down and looting. I've never been a fan of that. But we don't own any damn thing. So that's why these people don't care. Now, what happens is there's outliers where black businesses get caught up and get burnt up. And I feel bad about that because they'll never recover. Walmart and Target and all of them will come back because they want that black money. Oh, they're going to come back. No problem. It's the small businessman that really gets taken out. So, you feel bad for them in this case. But, these big chains, we don't own them. Those are owned by rich white people. So we really don't care about them, getting destroyed. So, so we got to make sure that this does not die out and we get another black man killed. Okay, we got to stay on this. We've got to stay focused on making sure this passes through. All right, so taking a look at this bill. Now, this is the House bill. Again, at this point, we don't have a Republican bill. which means to me, they don't give a damn about Negroes. Because if you cared, at this time, when America, the world is on fire about police reform and you have produced nothing, that's just what it is. This is not a Republican against Democrat, Democrat against Republican. Ain't nothing to do with that. It has to do with me as a black man, and you should be as a black man, black woman, or any other race of color, saying that why haven't the Republicans produced something that's going to protect African Americans? You have to ask yourself that. Even if you're a black Republican, call your president and ask him where the hell the bill is, or call whoever. All right. So anyway, first part of the bill. Very good. So this is called the Justice and Policing Act of 2020. All right. I'm just going to read the highlights of it because I'm going to read the whole bill. But anyway, it says prohibits federal, state, and local law enforcement from racial, religious, and discriminatory profiling, and mandates training on racial, religious, and discriminatory profile for law enforcement. Now, my man Ron, who's been in law enforcement over 20 years, retired now, when he was on the show, he talked about that the fact that they don't do a lot of training on race and religion and things like that in the academy. I've never been to a police academy. I don't know. So I defer to my man, the police aficionado. And he said they don't do a lot of training. So you come out of the police force and you have really no idea the people you're policing. How do you do community policing and you don't know a damn thing about the community? I'm going to add something to this because I'm going to add my own thoughts on this bill too. That's why it's good to read the bill. That way you can add your own thoughts. I would add police officers must live in or around the community that they're policing. If you really want to protect and serve, you cannot be a police officer in Inglewood, ain't never been around black folks in your life, and you living in Simi Valley. You living way out somewhere in Buffy land. How the hell you won't, come to the neighborhood and do community policing and you live out there with Ken and Barbie all your whole life? What? You going to look at us like we a bunch of animals. We have a different culture. And this also happens in our schools too. We have 85% of schools are white middle-class women that are disciplining our black and brown boys. That's why black boys are 3 times more likely to be suspended. See, it's not only happening in police, it's happening in our schools. We're 4 times more likely to be, put in detention and be put into the school to prison pipeline. Because if we're aggressive, then all of a sudden we're behavior issues. Now, little Tommy and little Kimmy are quiet. And they grow up and they go, what do? They go into a mall and kill up 30 people. They kill every goddamn body, So I think that's really what needs to be community police. I add my own little nugget on there. So here's another one. Bans chokehold, carotid artery holds, no-knock warrants. No-knock warrants. That's how Brianna got killed. The no-knock warrant. They busted in, didn't say knock, knock, police. They busted in. Her boyfriend started shooting back because he thought somebody was trying to rob the place. And they shot her 8 times in her underwear. I mean, she was in her bed. They shot her 8 times. So it bans that. Freddie Gray, no chokehold. George Floyd, it bans that from a federal level. Now, I forgot one point. The federal gives us, right now, when a state officer, a police officer, local state police kills somebody, the feds have no criminal power. All they can do is come in and say, we're going to violate you. You violate their civil rights. Just like with Rodney King, the states let him off. The feds came in and got him on civil rights. That's it. So you can murder a black man and the state ain't going to do shit. Now they got to do something with this George Floyd. They just have to. They don't have a choice with this one. And I believe that police chief did it with his heart and did it from a professional standpoint. But we know that 99% of the time, they get away with it. We know that, right? Okay. So, and the feds can't do anything. This will give the feds power to come, if the state doesn't do nothing, to give them federal power to go after criminal charges. That's what's huge about this. You see why this is important? And we're not worried about some damn cloth. Whether it's Kenta, Kunte, Chicken George, Toby, I don't care what the cloth is. It's not worth my life, okay? So to all my African brothers, no disrespect, but that's just how I'm rolling. Anyway, no-knock warrants at a federal level limit and limits the transfer of military-grade equipment to state and local law enforcement. These big batarams. Batarams. I grew up in Inglewood. They had crack house in Inglewood. I can't tell you how many times I saw a bataram. There was times when a bataram came through and killed somebody because it crushed them. Bataram. All this military stuff. You using military grade stuff on a people. So let me paint this picture. You're using weapons of war on African Americans. You ain't using them on white folks. That's what you ain't doing. I'm gonna tell you something. And the biggest drug dealers in the history of the world are all white. It's called your American government. Everything that black man learned, crime-wise, we learn from white people. Because there's not a crime that you can think of that a black man has committed that a white man has to commit on a higher level. And I challenge anybody to name one. My feed's open. Go ahead and send it. Please don't say drugs, and please don't say gangs. Oh, and don't say stealing. Oh my God, please, don't do that. Just agree with me. Say, Richard, I agree with you, because your brothers come to you with facts, right? Just stop. Okay, I don't believe in you guys will say that, but I get a lot of comments and people calling me names on Facebook, and I've been called every name you can think of, and I don't care. And kiss my ass. Anyway, all right, next. Mandates the use of dashboard cameras and body cameras for federal officers and requires state and local law enforcement to use existing federal funds to ensure the use of police body cameras. Look at this. What was the key word here? Use existing federal funds. So what does that tell you, right? We're looking with a third eye and we're listening with a third ear. They already have the money for the body cams. They already have it. So there's no need to raise taxes. There's no need to give them any more money. They already got plenty of money to do this. So it's just a matter of implementing the process. But there's no federal law to do it. Because you got to understand that you guys are probably thinking, well, what about the states? Well, yeah. Well, a lot of these states believe in military-style policing, so they're not going to enforce it. You look down south, and they believe in states' rights. They don't care that black people are killing black folks. They don't care, so they're not going to enforce any stuff. But if they don't, then it allows the feds to come after them and enforce stuff. That's why this is important. Stay focused. Let's not get caught up in claws and shit. Okay, and I'm saying that as a black man. Look. I looked at my history, and my great-great-great-great-grandfather named William Harrison was a slave. He was born in 1855. So I have direct lineage to slavery. And his grandfather came from Africa. So I have direct lineage to the pain. And I don't care about a cloth. I care about my life. Okay. So anyway, I'm repeating myself. All right. So next one is establish a national police misconduct registry to prevent problematic officers who are fired. Get that word, fired, or leave an agency from moving to another jurisdiction without accountability. Is that not big? Why is that important? You guys know why it's important, right? Look, I'm not telling you, you guys are smart people. I'm not opening your eyes to anything. I'm not blowing you away with, with knowledge. You know this. These officers kill somebody, beat the hell out of a black man, get fired, and go to another agency. No problem. No problem. This prevents that being done so easily. I'm sorry. Prevents that from being done so easily. So their record will follow them. Now, it says without accountability. That's key. Now, does it mean they won't get hired? Some police agencies will welcome somebody who killed a black man. Look, we got to understand that the only thing that's stopping us from getting lynched and hung from trees in public is laws and capital. If they do that, they go to jail and they'll lose money. So that's why they don't do it. They have other ways. It's a mental lynching is what's being done now. So with no accountability, that's huge. Okay, so that's good. So here's another one. Amends federal criminal statute from willfulness to recklessness standard to successfully identify and prosecute police misconduct. Okay, willfulness. You willfully hurt somebody. There's so much gray in that. I mean, there's so many ways you can get around that. You know, based on my education and experience, I felt I should do this. You know, that gets you around this willfulness. But recklessness gives you a higher degree of prosecutors that prosecute these bad police. It gives them a higher degree of ammunition or a higher degree of process to get these people when it goes to recklessness from willingness. It's very important. Reform qualified immunity so that individuals are not barred from recovering damages when police violate their constitutional rights. How many times have a police officer broken into your home, the wrong house, took your stuff, and you never got it back? How about they impound your car? I've seen situations where a cop impounded one of my homies' cars from the old neighborhood, and we were driving out one day and saw the cop driving it. You know, cops be wearing chains that they stole, and it goes in the police property if it goes there. Let's just make that clear. Some of them they just keep it and take it, but sometimes it goes in the property and you never see it again. This will give you ammunition for get your stuff back. Okay. Hold on, let me turn my stuff down. Everybody say I'm too loud. Just saw it. Okay, turn myself down. All right. Next one. Establish public safety innovation grants for community-based organizations to create local commission and task force to help communities to re-image and develop concrete, just, and equitable public safety approaches. Okay. Safety innovation. How important is that for our community? All right. Next one. Create law enforcement development and training program to develop best practices and requires the creation of law enforcement accreditation standards recommendations based on President Obama's task force on 21st century policing. Okay. So the Obama task force was just what word am I looking for? Executive order. So it wasn't a law. So it don't really mean nothing. So, the Republicans blocked everything Obama did. So he couldn't make this into law. But what it was is Obama got like 11 academics, law enforcement, and other like former prosecutors and stuff. And he got them together to examine, after the Michael Brown killing, he got this task force together to monitor police misconduct and police activity in the communities. And then he wanted to have this task force recommend back to him how he should go about changing things and make recommendations on changes. But it was just an executive order, so it really don't mean nothing. But what this law will do is it will actually bring that into law, saying that anytime there's police misconduct, that this oversight committee will be able to look at particular crimes that have been done and make recommendations and changes and everything like that. So the policing will be based off the guidelines and laws that this particular committee would create based on state policing and things like that. So that could be a good thing. That's another good thing. So here we go. Here's another one. requires state and local law enforcement agencies to report the use of force data aggregated by race, sex, disability, religion, and age. Why is that important? I talked about this. Since 1704, police have been murdering black folks. 316 years. There is no federal law or mandate that says local police have to report the murders to the feds. So that the FBI data is not even accurate. There's an article in The Conversation that talks about that. And I'll put a link up here so you guys can verify everything that I'm saying. But there's no mandate that says that the local law, state law, when they murder a black man, now everything's on video, so the feds get it. Okay, the feds going to see it because it's on video. But what about those that are not on video? Do you think they report them? Wasn't it Will Smith that said it best? Racism has changed. It's just getting, it hasn't changed. It's just getting filmed. That's a great quote. In the 90s, when we were complaining, in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, and on back, there were no cameras. So they're just murdering a bunch of black men. Whether they had a red sheet, whether they had white sheets on their head, or whether they had a badge and a gun. They were murdering us. And they never reported it. That's what pisses me off when white people say, well, more white, and let me back up. I apologize. And some black people say, so it's not a race thing. More white people are killed by police than black people. Okay. Well, first of all, you have to break that down by demographics. You're comparing 13% of population to 64% of population. So by total numbers, you are correct. But when you break it down by percentage, black people are 3 times more likely to get killed, 7 times more likely to get pulled over, and 1.3 times more likely to be unarmed while getting killed. White people do get killed by the police. But what I want you to explain to me is what are the circumstances they get killed. A white man would have to be walking down the street with a hand grenade, a bazooka, a weapon of mass destruction, tear gas, M16, rocket launcher, nerve gas, and then they might kill him. A black man walking down the street with a taco in his hand, and they pull over and shoot him. So you got to look at the circumstances. You cannot find me a white example of a Tamir Rice, a Freddie Gray. How about a Greg Floyd? How about a Sandra Bland? How about a Lando Castillo? How about a Michael Brown? Find me a white example of that. Trayvon Martin. Can you find me a white example of that? No, you can't. White people get killed in really extraneous circumstances. Here's an example. You had Dylan Roof that walked into a church, prayed with them, then killed 9 black people, then walked out the church. The cops picked him up and took him to McDonald's because he was hungry. You got George Floyd, who's a bad person. And then, I got a lot of these people that, responded to my Facebook. He was a piece of shit. And he did, and the cops did us a favor. I don't know who the hell else it is. Probably some racist white people. And brought up his criminal record. Okay. Well, I don't give a damn what that nigga did. He was not being violent at that time. Yet, Dylan Roof killed 9 black people, shot him at point blank range, and they took him to McDonald's because he was hungry. Maybe that's not good enough for you. You had a white boy that just murdered 2 people. The cops sat him down on the side of the police car, and of course they handcuffed him. He was thirsty, they gave him water. Orlando Castillo was in his car with his wife and his 4-year-old daughter and said, "Sir, I have a gun. I'm a registered gun owner." The cop shot him 8 times with his 4-year-old daughter in the car. Can you find me a white example of that? So let's go into a little bit deeper numbers for those of you that might not get it. In 2019, the cops killed 1,099 people. 1,095 of those were people of color. That's an average of about 3 killings a day. All right. Why in this country, in a country that's supposed to be You know, we're supposed to be the economic and social and moral leaders of the world. And we tell everybody else how to live and how to treat their people and what they should do. You tell me why American police kill more people in days than other countries kill in years. Why is it that America that has not 25 more, but 25 times more mass shootings than any other civilized nation? What the hell is wrong with us? Well, it ain't us doing mass shootings, because 9 out of 10 terrorist attacks are done by white men between the age of 14 and 56, according to the FBI crime report. And all the statistics I just gave you, they're on mappingpoliceviolence.org. I'll repeat that for you. mappingpoliceviolence.org. And where I got the statistic, where I got the information about they don't have to report it to the feds, it's called The Conversation. Just type that into Google. Also, I guess the USA report did a report on, no, I'm sorry, it's the Stanford researchers. You can look the study up yourself. Stanford Research did a study on American traffic stops. They looked at not 1 million, not 2 million, not 50 million. They looked at 100 million traffic stops. 100 million. Guess what? And I'm sure you won't be surprised. 75 million of those were black and brown people. 75 million. So are you telling me that black people are the only ones that may be driving erratic, maybe speeding, running traffic lights? Are we the only ones to do that? Or is there something else there? I think you know what it is. All right. So I also want to add this too, is that these are my own little nuggets I'm adding in. Is when police shoot somebody unjustified, their pension up to that point should go to the person they murdered. And police should carry insurance, life insurance policy that covers them from when they kill somebody. This is why. If you look at these officers, like, for example, George Floyd, right? And his family is going to go sue the city. Well, the city's already broke. You're taking money from a cash-strapped city. You know the reason why they're not killing Asians and Arabs and Asians, Arabs, Asians, and Jews. I should say, because there is a financial repercussion and there's also a physical repercussion. When they kill black people, there's no financial repercussion on that officer directly. Pretty much what you're doing, if you really think about this, how gangster this is we pay property taxes and you pay city taxes, right? So when somebody sues the police officer, we're pretty much just giving them back money that we put in that we're paying in taxes. It's like taking money out of your own bank account, your own checking account. It's not hurting the officer. So when this lawsuit stuff goes on, the officer should be solely responsible, and the insurance company that insured him should have to pay it. It shouldn't be taken from the city, because when that happens, then what does the city say? Oh, well, we don't have money to fix the roads. We don't have money for the parks. Schools are based on property taxes. That's why you got two schools in America, right? You have black and brown, middle class at best, poor, and then you got suburbia, white and rich, because the schools get money from the property taxes, and the state and local government contributes a little bit. That's why the schools in our neighborhood don't have money, because a lot of our property value is not as high as rich white people. So when you sue the city, you're hurting the roads, the parks, the city infrastructure. You're taking money from the schools. So we're actually hurting ourselves, and the cop gets off with no financial repercussion. And I guarantee you start threatening taking their pension, I bet they stop shooting in. And they have to have an insurance policy up to $5 million. So when the person sues, they get money from the insurance. not the city. You got to tell me what you think. I got a couple more I'm going to read, and my voice is echoing. I'm sorry, man. My voice is echoing. I don't know why it's echoing like this. Can you guys hear me? You guys give me a thumbs up. Somebody give me a thumbs up, see if they can hear me or not. Not yet? Can anybody hear me? Hold on a second. Let me take a pause for a second, guys. I'm waiting to see if you guys can hear me. I don't know why this thing is not. You hear me now? Okay, good. All right, good. You can hear me now. So anyway, sorry about that, guys. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to repeat real quick what I was saying, just about the policies, about making sure police carry insurance. We don't need to be suing our cities. it hurts the city. It takes money away from schools. It takes money away from parks, road development, and all those things that we need for our cities. And the cities are already cash strapped. Let's make it solely on the police department, the police officer, I'm sorry, the police officer, and an insurance policy. So he gives up his pension that he has to pay the premium for that insurance every month. And and what his insurance, what his pension can't cover, of course, the insurance is gonna kick in the rest. Now, what's gonna happen? Now we're all smart people here. The police union's gonna come in and parlay this and make all kind of money off the insurance company and stuff. They're gonna jump in and say, okay, we're gonna make them cover this, but the police unions will get kickbacks from the insurance company because it's gonna be a huge policy. You talk about a nationwide policy. So whoever insurance company gets this, they're gonna make hundreds and hundreds, not billions of dollars. So everybody's still gonna get paid. Come on, we're not dumb. But it won't take money from the cities when we sue these people. So it's all a racket. People still gonna make money. It's all a racket. Anyway. So let me read the last one. Okay, so it improves the use of pattern and practice investigation in federal level by granting the Department of Justice civil rights subpoena power, and creates a grant program for state attorneys general to develop authority to conduct independent investigations in problematic police departments. So right now, what they'll do, we're always screaming for independent investigator. We don't want the police to investigate themselves, right? We don't trust the police to police themselves. How long have we been crying for that? So now that we have that's what this law is saying. It's saying that we don't have, it makes us give us a gateway to get independent investigator. That's what we're doing. That's what we got. This is what we've been fighting for and stuff all this time. Right? Here it is. You see what I'm saying, y'all? You see what I'm saying? You see why this is so important? And we're talking about a damn cloth? Really? That's what we're focused on? A cloth, a kente cloth. Like I said, I don't care if it's Kunta, Toby, Yo Mama. I don't care where it's from. Okay? I care about my life of myself, my brother, my sons, my friends, their sons, my sisters, their sons. That's what I care about. Y'all done got me on. Y'all done got me on one today. All right, here's the last one. Last one, guys. Thanks for being patient and dealing with all this technical stuff. I can't hear you. You're echoing. You're too loud. Thank you guys for just hanging in there. Hey, I appreciate you. We need to do this together. So here's the last one. Establish a Department of Justice task force to coordinate the investigation, prosecution, and enforcement efforts of federal, state, and local governments in cases related to law enforcement misconduct. Federal task force. So what this is doing is giving us another legal apparatus, judicial backing to go after bad police from a federal level, from the feds. So now we have oversight federal policing on local police departments. Now we got it. So we got to get behind this bill. Look, if the Republicans come up with something better, fine, vote for that. But what I want to do, just as a brother, your brother who cares for you, cares for my son, and hey, I got a grandson that's coming up and cares for all my other brothers and sisters out there, the Sandra Blands of the world and the Freddie Grays. There's because you know what? There is future those out there, black women and black men that could be getting taken off if we don't get something done. Let me give you an example. The New York police choked out another dude and killed him just while the riots were going on. So they don't care. We have to have financial repercussions and physical repercussions anytime this happens, and they have to know. If you look at what Officer Chauvin and the other Asian dude name, I don't know what his name was. I really don't care. The old basketball head, fat round head Asian dude. You see how calm they were during the incident. So when you calm like that in a situation of murder, that means you've done it before. That means you've been there before because you were so calm. You weren't worried about any type of financial repercussions, physical repercussions, legal repercussions. You weren't worried about it. That man sat there with his hand in his pocket for 8 minutes and 40 seconds on a man's neck. Not 1 minute, not 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, because he didn't care. He thought he could get away with it. That's why he did it. They're only doing that to black men. They're not doing that to Asians. They're not doing that to Arabs. They're not doing that to Jews. They're not doing that to the East Indians. They're doing it to us. Now, some of it is fear and the history of what black people have been through and, our really sensitive relationship with white people based on history. You guys know what it is. But, hatred, fear, whatever it is, this man's life meant nothing to him. Our lives mean nothing. That's why people kill me with this all lives matter bullshit. All lives do matter, but they don't matter equally. And nobody was saying all lives matter until black folks start saying black lives matter. Then all of a sudden, all lives matter. In New York, police department had the nerve to say blue lives matter. So they're always trying to weaken and disempower. Don't let anybody disempower your value. When you say black lives matter, don't allow anybody to disempower your movement by saying, well, we have to make sure that you include other people of color. They ain't killing other people of color like us. Now, I do believe in partnering with other minority groups, not a problem. But in that partnership, you have to understand that that you're coming in support of us. Because I don't know when they've killed somebody from Eastern India, or somebody from China or Japan. I don't know if they killed anybody from. I haven't heard anything like that. I'm sure they probably do, but it's always us. So let me say this too, and I want to do this one last thing. Let you guys go. I'm over time. 2 things they do to disempower your argument: people of color, black folks, and black folks will say this too to Asians and Latinos and people Arab, and they tell white people. You got this from the black Republicans, and white people use this too. Well, 93% of black people kill black people. Okay. Well, you can't talk about black on black crime without talking about white on white crime. 83% of white people kill white people. Okay? People kill in close proximity. Well, why is it when a black man kills a black man, it's not national news? Because they don't give a shit. That's why. It's not national news when a white man kills a white man 83% of the time. Because that's not how news works. But but trust and believe, if Ahmaud Arbery was white and you had 2 black men tracked him down and shot him, that would be national news. Am I right about it? Yeah, that makes sense to y'all? Y'all can give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with being wrong. But when you have a hate crime on another race, that's what leads headlines. So let's talk about black on black crime for a minute. There was an article posted in September in LA Times that said black crime is the lowest it's been since 1969. But you won't hear a lot of these black Republicans, that's what they say, because they want to make white people feel more comfortable in their whiteness. You won't hear them say that. And also, there are a ton of organizations that are working on black crime, and they're doing a damn good job. Because, I'm associated with somebody with somebody, with some of them. You know what I mean? My man Khalid Shaw got stop the violence, increase the peace. They're out there doing great work on this. And all you Negroes are talking about black on black crime. How about this? And white people who use it as the suffering of a people for a political talking point. Get your ass out there and do something. Every time I ask a black person to talk about black on black crime, what are they doing about it? They turn into Scooby-Doo. You ain't doing shit. You just want to use it to complain and disempower our argument. If you're concerned about black on black crime, whether you're white, black, Asian, whatever race you are, get your ass out there in the community, join a nonprofit organization, and do something about it. If you're concerned about Chicago, move your ass to Chicago and get involved and try to stop it. Until then, shut the hell up, because you don't care. It's a political talking point to weaken our argument, and we're not going to stand for it. That's it. That's my show for the day. I just wanted to get this out. I then went on and emotionally got on my emotional soapbox and blabbered, because I just love my people and I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. And we got to stay focused so we can get this done. If you're a Republican, cool. Call for your Republican Senate to get a bill in front of us. Get a bill. If Senates care about black people, here's where you show it. Here's a Democratic thing right here. The bill. You guys probably can't see it very good. I print out. Give me the Republican one. Where's the Republican one at? All right. So let's not get caught up in the bullshit, in the Kentacloths and partisanship and Democrats, these Republicans are that. You got Crips and Bloods fighting on the street, and you got red and blue fighting in Capitol Hill. Same stuff. You're fighting on some shit that you don't even own. Let's stop that. Get focused. Now I want to make sure I'm clear, and I always say this before I close. This show is not about making white people as bad actors, and it's not making black people as victims, because white people don't really owe us nothing but to leave us the hell alone and burn up this system of implicit and explicit bias and this system of systemic racism. That's all I think they really owe us. And black people, we ain't got time to be victims. But I really believe that it is our responsibility collectively, whether we're white, whether we're black, whether we're Latino, whether we're Asian, whether from the Arab world, whether you're from East India, wherever you come from. It's our responsibility together, collectively, to ensure that everyone can live, free from racism, free from unfair treatment, free from, being brutalized and terrorized, and be able to live freely and happily in a constitutional democracy. It's all of our responsibility. So that's my show for the day. God bless you guys. And till next week, read the bill, okay? Give us your thoughts on the bill so we can get this passed. Because if we don't push this and another black guy gets murdered and you didn't push this bill or some other bill like it or better, we're half the damn problem. Think about that for a minute. Next week, guys. Take care.